One superstar striker, 3 possible destinations, and a transfer battle that could be worth more than £130 million. Julián Álvarez wants a change. Barcelona represents his dream. Arsenal are waiting with an enormous offer. But Atlético Madrid have delivered a clear warning. Their striker is not for sale. What began as normal transfer speculation has now become a public conflict involving angry supporters, frustrated executives, a determined player, and 2 European giants waiting for the smallest opportunity. So, where will Julián Álvarez play when the transfer window closes? Barcelona, Arsenal, or Atlético Madrid? This is the complete story behind one of the most dramatic transfer sagas of the summer. When Julián Álvarez left Manchester City for Atlético Madrid in 2024, the move appeared perfect for everyone. Manchester City received a major transfer fee. Atletico acquired a World Cup winning striker entering the best years of his career. And Álvarez finally escaped the shadow of Erling Haaland to become the central figure of a major European club. At Atletico, the Argentine proved his quality. He scored important goals, demonstrated his versatility, and became one of Diego Simeone's most valuable attacking players. His movement, pressing, intelligence, and finishing made him ideal for Atletico's demanding system. With 49 goals in 106 appearances, Álvarez established himself as much more than an expensive signing. He became the player around whom Atletico could build their attack for years. But beneath those impressive numbers, the relationship was beginning to change. During the summer, Álvarez publicly opened the door to leaving Atlético Madrid. His preferred destination quickly became clear: Barcelona. For Álvarez, Barcelona would offer something completely different: a more possession-based attacking system, a global platform, and the opportunity to become the long-term successor to Robert Lewandowski. Barcelona also see him as an almost perfect modern striker. He can score inside the penalty area, drop into midfield, press defenders, and create opportunities for teammates. He is experienced, but still young enough to lead the attack for several seasons. Most importantly, the player reportedly considers Barcelona his dream destination. That personal preference has complicated everything. Atletico Madrid do not want to strengthen a direct rival. Selling their most important striker to Barcelona would not only weaken Simeone's team, it could also help Barcelona dominate Spanish football. For Atletico, this is not just a financial negotiation, it has become a question of sporting ambition and pride. Álvarez has a contract until 2030 and a reported release clause of €500 million. That gives Atletico complete control over the situation. Club executives have maintained an extremely firm position. Atletico reportedly would not accept even an offer approaching €200 million. Their message is simple: Julián Álvarez is central to the project, and they have no intention of allowing him to choose his next club. The situation has created growing tension. Álvarez was initially left out of Atletico's team at the beginning of the season, with Diego Simeone suggesting that the striker was not fully prepared after the World Cup and the uncertainty surrounding his future. When Álvarez returned, some Atletico supporters responded with boos. That reaction revealed how quickly the relationship had deteriorated. A player who had been celebrated as the future of the club was suddenly being questioned by the same supporters who once welcomed him. Atletico's leadership also criticized the way the transfer situation had been handled. They believe that constant speculation and public pressure have damaged the club and affected the beginning of their season. Barcelona, meanwhile, face a very different problem. Wanting Álvarez is easy. Finding a financial structure acceptable to Atletico is much more difficult. Barcelona have already invested heavily in their squad, and Atletico are unwilling to negotiate on favorable payment terms with a direct rival. Reports suggest Barcelona have now paused their pursuit and started considering alternative strikers. But pausing a transfer does not necessarily mean abandoning it completely. If Álvarez continues to demand a move, or if Atletico decide that keeping an unhappy player could damage the team, Barcelona may attempt one final offensive before the deadline. However, another club is waiting: Arsenal. Mikel Arteta's team have identified Álvarez as a possible elite addition to their attack. Arsenal have the financial strength to present a proposal closer to Atletico's valuation, and reports suggest they could be prepared to launch an offer worth around £130 million. From Atletico's perspective, selling to Arsenal would make much more sense than selling to Barcelona. Arsenal are not a direct domestic rival. The transfer would move an unhappy player outside Spain, and Atletico could receive an enormous fee to rebuild their attack. For Arsenal, Álvarez could become the final piece of a team designed to challenge for every major trophy. He already understands English football from his time at Manchester City. He has Premier League experience, Champions League experience, and the mentality of a player who has won the biggest competitions in football. His ability to play as a central striker, second striker, or wide forward would give Arteta several tactical options. But Arsenal face one major obstacle: the player appears to prefer Barcelona. Before committing more than £130 million, Arsenal need to know that Álvarez genuinely wants to join them. They do not want to become a second choice or spend weeks negotiating for a player whose heart is somewhere else. That is what makes this saga so complicated. Barcelona have the player's preference, but may not have the financial power or Atletico's cooperation. Arsenal have the money and represent a logical agreement for Atletico, but they may not be the player's preferred destination. Atletico hold the contract and insist they will not sell, but keeping an unhappy superstar could create problems inside the dressing room and in the stands. There are now 3 possible endings. The first is the dream move to Barcelona. For this to happen, Barcelona would need to produce a massive financial proposal and convince Atletico to strengthen a direct rival. Alvarez would also need to maintain pressure until the final days of the transfer window. It is possible, but currently extremely difficult. The second possibility is Arsenal. If Barcelona cannot complete the transfer and Arsenal submit an offer close to Atletico's demands, the Spanish club may encourage Alvarez to reconsider the Premier League. Financially, this could be the easiest transfer to negotiate. Personally, Arsenal still need to convince the player. The third possibility is that nothing happens. Alvarez remains at Atletico Madrid, returns to Simeone's team and attempts to repair his relationship with the supporters. Right now, this may be the most realistic outcome. Atletico have no financial need to sell. The player remains under a long contract and Barcelona have not reached an agreement. Unless Arsenal receive a clear indication that Alvarez wants to join them, they may also refuse to risk such an enormous investment. But transfer windows can change in a matter of hours. One unexpected offer, one private conversation, or one public statement could completely transform the situation before the deadline. This is no longer simply a story about which club can pay the most money. It is a battle between the player's dream, Arsenal's ambition, and Atletico Madrid's authority. It is a battle between the player's dream, Arsenal's ambition, and Atletico Madrid's authority. Barcelona offer the destination Alvarez wants, and Atletico possess the contract that could prevent both moves. So, what should Julián Álvarez do? It is a battle between the player's dream, Arsenal's ambition, and Atletico Madrid's authority. So, what should Julián Álvarez do? Should he wait for Barcelona, accept Arsenal's project, or remain at Atletico Madrid and rebuild his relationship with the club? Write your choice in the comments: Barcelona, Arsenal, or Atletico. And subscribe to Football Legacy News for the latest confirmed transfers, major rumors, and the biggest stories from the world of football.